Alright, so in today's video we're going to be making a chess piece, specifically a rook. So I'm going to hop over to Google, and here I have looked up rook chess, and I want kind of a clip art looking picture of the profile of the piece, so I'm going to go ahead and save this guy. So we'll right click, and we'll do Save Image As, and I'm going to go ahead and name this guy Rook, just so that I can find it easily in Fusion, and then I'm going to go ahead and save it to my Downloads folder. So we'll go ahead and hit Save. And now it should be on my computer. So let's hop over to Fusion. So I want to insert this as a canvas in Fusion, but I want to make a sketch first to tell me how big my chess piece should be. So I'm going to create a sketch. And you can go ahead and choose either of these upward facing planes here today. It doesn't really matter which one. I'm going to go ahead and choose the blue and red. And then I'm going to use the line tool. And we'll start here in the center. And we'll move it out 0.5 inches to the right. So this represents half of the base of the chess piece. Alright, and then we're going to make another line to define the height of our chess piece. So I'm going to click in the center again, and then drag straight upwards 1.5 inches. And then when you put these in, you'll notice that it doesn't say the correct numbers anymore. That's just because my document is in millimeters, so it's converting them back to millimeters, but it's still in inches, so we're good. So next we'll insert the canvas. We'll go up to here where it says Insert, and then click on the little image icon, and then Insert from my computer. And then we'll navigate to our Downloads folder, and select the Rook image. And make sure it's saved as a JPEG or a PNG. We'll open, and I'm going to click the same plane that we chose before. So this square right here, that allows me to move my image around. Then this little corner allows me to scale the image. So I'm going to go ahead and scale the image and then move it to line up with my line. And again, I said I wanted to cut the chess piece in half, and that line at the bottom represents half of the base. So the reason I'm doing this, I want to sketch just half of the profile, and then once I have that profile, I'm going to go ahead and revolve it. So let's finish sketch. So this just about lines up. It really doesn't have to be perfect. So I now need to go ahead and finish the sketch of the outline of this, but I don't actually want to start a new sketch here, because if I start a new sketch, it won't be connected to those two original lines. But if I go inside of my original sketch, there's a little bit of a problem. So I'll go ahead and double click into that original sketch, and that's that the image is gone. So let's go ahead and undo. And then here in my timeline, I'm going to change it to where my image was inserted before my sketch. So I'll take my sketch and drag it after the image. Now let's go ahead and double click to get back into the sketch. And now you can see that the image is included in the sketch. So here I'm just going to use the arc tool and the line tool to trace this profile. So I'll go down to arc, 3-point arc. And then I'll click here in the corner, and then at the top of this arc, and just drag it out to where it lines up with the edges of your piece. And here you get to kind of freestyle. The constraints here don't have to be perfect. Just make sure each piece of your drawing is connected to the end point of the last piece. We're really kind of just breaking it down into its individual art pieces, which is mainly arcs here. Alright, so I'll add one last arc. And then from here on out, we're going to go ahead and use the line tool. So I'll click the line tool, and I'll click, and click, click. And then up here at the top, I want it to line up perfectly with the height. So I'm going to drag over, and you can see it does a little blue dotted line that kind of constrains me to that height. And then I'll click, and then I'll drag over, and it should create us a perfectly perpendicular or flat surface up here. So when you click, it should turn this profile blue, and so we can finish sketch and work with that profile. So what I'm going to do is revolve that, but I don't actually need the canvas anymore, so I'm going to click the eyeball right here next to canvases. Then we're going to work with this profile using the Revolve tool. So up here in Create, we'll select Revolve. So Revolve wants you to choose a surface, or a profile, which already selected automatically. It's the piece we've drawn so far, and then the axis is what it's going to rotate around. So I'll go ahead and choose the center axis, and it already looks like a chess piece. All it's missing is the little knobs that stick out of the top of the chess piece. So let's go ahead and add those by creating a sketch up here on the top. So green plus button, select that top surface. So we're going to kind of make like a pizza slice here. So I'm going to go ahead and choose the line tool. Then we'll click here in the center. And then we'll drag it out to the edge of our circle. And if you remember, as long as you put your mouse right next to the line, it'll turn into like a little blue X that tells you that you're right on another piece in the sketch. And this one I want it to be 135 degrees. So I hit tab on my keyboard to switch to the degrees, type in 135, adjust until that blue X shows up, and then we'll click. So we have a nice pizza slice, and then I'm going to go ahead and add a circle here in the center. Here you can kind of just estimate what size you would want this to be to leave that little notch or the edge of the pizza slice. So we'll go ahead and finish the sketch. So what I wanted out of this sketch right here is kind of the little pizza crust right here. So what we're going to do is extrude that upwards, and then we'll use a pattern to replicate it. So I'll go ahead and hit extrude. And yet again, you can go ahead and estimate whatever size looks good for your chess piece. And then now we need to make more of those, because usually there's like 4 of those on a chess piece. So the way I'm going to do that, I'm going to select it in my timeline. So I'll just click once, and you can see it turns blue, which means it's selected. We'll go up to create, and then pattern, and then circular pattern. So circular pattern, very similar. It looks for an object, which we already selected, and then an axis. So for the axis, you can choose any circle in our model here, or that center blue line. And so we'll click. It defaults to 3, so let's go ahead and change it to 4. And then we'll click OK. And then we got ourselves a pretty decent looking chess piece. So let's go ahead and make sure we save it. So I'll click the save icon, and I'll go ahead and call it Rook. And then again, make sure it includes your name. And then that's about it. Awesome work. Thank you guys.